Hi, my name is Mason and this is Wings, a show where we get to talk about the powers of women and how they have broken barriers over the years. On this episode, we're meeting with an amazing woman who has broken barriers. Stay tuned after the break. All right, welcome back. This is Wings, and today we have an amazing woman in the studio that is going to be sharing her stories with us, and of course you watching is going to be a life-changing moment for you, not just you but people around you. And she'll do us the pleasure of introducing herself to us.
Hi everyone, my name is Awashima and I am a lady with a disability. I am a professional counselor. I'm also a disability rights advocate. I'm also a disability inclusion specialist and a gender-based violence advocate also.
That's beautiful. I think we have that in common.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
glad.
All right, then what inspired you to focus on inclusion and disability empowerment in the SME sector?
Okay, so in 2019, I became a lady with disability. I lost my sight in 2019 after a surgery in both eyes, and so getting into the inclusion space, getting into becoming a lady with disability myself, I got to understand the barriers, the challenges that persons with disabilities face, and this really made me to want to advocate, want to break or bridge those gaps that women or persons with disabilities generally face in the community. So that's what really inspired me to go into inclusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can you share your experience on how you were able to, of course, shape your understanding into facing these challenges?
Well, it wasn't easy facing it because this is something that just happened in my mid-20s. I was just a babe at that point, trying to navigate life, had plans and all. It was very difficult. It was really, really hard. I can't even begin to tell you how hard it was to just wake up one day and then everything's gone. Not everything, but the sight is like one of the major things that you can't even imagine doing without. So it was really hard trying to navigate that, trying to cope with the fact that, okay, this is gone. What am I going to do? How do I accept it? How do I move on with my life? At that point, I felt like my life was over. I thought I was going to die. I wanted to die. So dealing with it was really difficult. But it took me close to a whole year to really accept it. Acceptance was how I was able to deal with the whole situation. Just realizing that, okay, I don't want to be weighed down by this situation. I don't want it to define me again. So I think that was really what helped me to break out of it. Yeah.
All right. And what about your understanding about people living with disabilities in the aspect of entrepreneurship? How are you able to come with that understanding to okay, I can still be an entrepreneur while having such a challenge?
Okay, so I get into the community, I realized that there's a lot of poverty, a lot of stigmatization, a lot of stigma towards persons with disabilities generally. I noticed that they try to survive. Getting work was really hard for me also. Yeah. So you start thinking of, how can I get a means of being independent, not to depend on people. So that was how I got introduced to the SME, the MSME, and then also working with organizations that support MSMEs was also something that really opened my eyes to see or to get into the whole SME space. Yeah. So I realized that it's not easy for persons with disabilities who are in that space to really thrive in their businesses. Yeah. So, for instance, for the blind, they do businesses. Sometimes you have to rely on other people to really help you. there are tools that you can use that are not still accessible, like that, for those with physical disabilities, trying to move around from place to place, very difficult, like that. Yeah, so I think just realizing that made me to start advocating for how MSMEs with disabilities can thrive in all their businesses and just become independent, not to rely on maybe their families or the government always for arms.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what strategies do you employ to ensure inclusivity in SME development programs?
Okay, so most times I try to, apart from advocacy, try to train other organizations that are into MSME development, big organizations, especially in the development space, like I said. So you train them on how to become inclusive in their approaches. For instance, there are so many programs that are for MSMEs that persons with disabilities can gain from, but because the organizations mostly have inclusivity on paper and they don't really know how to be very inclusive. Yeah, so I try to teach them that, and then also try to change the mindset of even the SMEs with disabilities, because it's all about mindset. Sometimes they feel like, okay, they can't go into businesses, they can't thrive just because of their disabilities. So I've done programs that that's one of the strategies, just changing their mindsets about becoming MSMEs or SMEs, like that, in the community, and knowing that they can thrive, like that. Then also introducing tools that they can use. That's another strategy. So this one, you can't, what tools can you use that can aid you as an SME in maybe in your with your businesses, like that. For instance, as a blind person, there are apps that I can use to count money. So I just scan it with my phone, and then it tells me how much I'm holding in my hand. So this helps me to be independent, not to rely on someone mostly like that to always tell me, oh, this is how much you're holding, like that. So yeah, I think in making sure that they use technologies. Yes, that's another strategy.
To the best. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how do you address the unique challenges faced by entrepreneurs with disabilities, and of course, such like accessibility and also stigma?
So for stigma, just advocating. We always just keep advocating. Mostly, to the community through short videos, going on shows like this to create awareness on the stigma, and then trying to create awareness to many people in the community, organizations like that, about persons with disabilities who are into businesses like that. For accessibility, still advocates also. There are laws that have been put in place, especially like the Disability Rights Act, that have mandated that all buildings or all buildings that are being built or roads should be accessible, even though a lot of people don't follow it, even the government themselves. Yeah, so we try to advocate for the accessibility of these buildings, of these roads, so that these persons with disabilities who are SMEs can move around independently, yes, while doing their businesses.
Okay. Can you share your success stories of SMEs founded by people with disabilities, and of course those you've supported?
Okay, so there's many. Let me see. Mostly, I like to support, especially students, because most students with disabilities support themselves in school. And I noticed when I got into the community that a lot of them, especially on maybe Sundays, you see them in churches begging like that just to survive. So I felt like, okay, these people had different talents. Some of them could braid just because they don't have legs, they can braid and all. So many of them now have helped many students, especially students in University of Jos, to get grants that to access grants and finance for their businesses, for their really little micro businesses, yeah, that could help them to, with their daily lives like that. Yeah. So that's where stories I can't just pinpoint one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are some common barriers to entrepreneurs faced to entrepreneurship, of course, faced by people with disabilities, and how do they overcome?
Okay. So one of the challenges I'll say is access to finance. Yes, it's one of the very, very big issue that they face. So many people want to access loans like that for their businesses. And as a person with a disability, most times I can't access a loan. Do you actually know that? So I can't. Sometimes many of my people in the community have told me how they go to a bank to get a loan. They will not be given. Why? Just because of their disability. A guy shared his story where his brother wanted a loan for his business, and he, as a person with disability, was on wheelchair, was the person that will sign as his guarantor, and the bank refused to give it to him, give it to the brother, because his brother was a person with disability, and they said that if the brother is not able to pay back, then the bank will feel pity to go and meet him as a guarantor to collect it. Yeah, so access to finance is like a very big issue, because a lot of institutions that give out these loans or this money will not want to give a person with disability, feeling like, why should we invest in this person's business? Also, we also talked about the accessibility. It's also a very big challenge, moving from one place to another, because it's not so accessible. It's another very, very big challenge. There's stigma. So why should I patronize a person with a disability? Why should I, buy something for a person with disability? It will rub off on me. Also, some people feel like if they buy something from me, my blindness will rub off on them. Yeah, they will get blind to just by patronizing my business like that. Yeah, so it's stigma is something that's really, really challenging for us to as persons with disabilities.
Okay, so what policy changes or reform do you advocate for to support entrepreneurs with disabilities?
So the buildings, these policies, we have very beautiful policies around, very beautiful. When you read it, you'll be like, what? And it's just implementations, honestly. Like in Nigeria, we have so many of those policies. I think recently, a couple of weeks ago, I went through the MSME policy, Nigerian policy. Very nice, like extremely nice. And I never knew about that policy before, but getting to know about it, I was really surprised that we have so much policies that have been put in place. Implementation is the problem. So I feel like that's just implementing, just advocating that these policies that have been put in place should be implemented, not just always creating more policies that are not even being used. Let me use that word. Yeah. So just implementation. Honestly, I would not even mention, because if I'm mentioning it, I'm still going to mention the same thing. Buildings, changing the financial. I know that there are financial policies that if you see them, they'll talk about inclusivity, but still there's no implementation, and there's no one to really checkmate this. Okay, for instance, we have organizations that are there to checkmate this. Do they do that? No, they don't. Yeah, so they're just there sometimes for decorations. That's what I feel. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So how do you define resilience, and how has it helped you achieve success?
Okay, so resilience for me as a person is acceptance. That's what I feel like a resilient person is one that accepts something that has happened that you can't change. So as human beings, sometimes most times we just feel like you just keep fighting for something that you can't change, and it just wastes time, draws you back. So for me, for example, accepting that, I'm blind now, what can I do with my blindness? So for me, I felt like a lot of people say, I'm really resilient, and that's because I accepted what had happened, and I drew strength from what had happened, and I used what has happened to my advantage. So I found my purpose in my situation. Yeah, so most times I say losing my sight was one of the best things that really happened to me, because I was able to really discover who I was, my strength, what I could do, and who I was really made to advocate and fight for. So resilience is just acceptance. Yeah.
Okay. You're an inclusion expert. So what does inclusion mean to you, and how can we create more inclusive spaces in our communities and of course workspaces?
So to me, inclusion is like mostly removing those barriers that keep some people from participating fully in activities or things in the community, and how I advocate or how I make inclusive communities still advocacy, creating awareness. So for organizations, carry out trainings for them. So a lot of organizations have policies. We go through many organizations, they have policies. Like I said, many beautiful policies on paper, talk about the staff, in employing staff with disabilities, involving maybe persons with disabilities in their programming, but that's not true. So sometimes you see organizations that say they're going to organize programs for persons with disabilities. They just bring them for the numbers, for the show, put them in one room, give them donuts and puff with a drink, and then they don't really, there's no impact, and then they're gone. Yeah, so for me, I teach organizations how to maybe train those persons with disabilities. So I also try to teach them maybe technologies that they can use in their organizations that can enable persons with disabilities to also work and give in their best. For instance, as a blind employee, you have screen readers. You install like screen readers on laptops or computers in the office that could help a blind employee to like really work. So I try to also introduce technologies that these organizations can use to work. So that is just part of what I do for organizations.
So what legacies do you hope to leave behind, and how would you like to be remembered?
My legacy, well, I would like to okay, so when I'm gone, leave a mark that I was here. I was able to do something for the community. I've already started doing that, but I hope to do like bigger things. I want that when people remember me, they'll say, that's Awashima. She did this for the community, she did this and this and this. And can you imagine that she was blind? Yeah, not just remembered as Awashima, the blind girl, no, but she was able to achieve this. She did this for us, And for me, that is something that really means a lot to me. Not even for sure, but that I was able to leave a mark that others can follow. So, for instance, I mentor other persons with disabilities, especially those that have become persons with disabilities later in life. So I have left a mark in them that they can do the same thing for other people. So I want that when people call my name, they remember that Awashima was here. She accepted, she was resilient, she fought for the community of persons with disabilities. Yeah.
Right. So how can we create more opportunities for mentorship and of course empowerment for women with disabilities?
Just being inclusive in your programming, in your planning of programming. You should leave a particular number for women with disabilities, and then have people like us, the disability inclusion specialists, work with people like us that could teach you or help you to even make selections or carry out those trainings for persons with disabilities.
All right. So, well, we've come so far, and of course, how can our listeners support and promote inclusion and accessibility in their own businesses and of course their communities?
You need me. They need me.
Of course they need me.
So just accepting that the persons with disabilities are just like you. You and I. There's no really difference. I think that is one major thing that is a problem. A lot of people don't accept that we are like them. Just feel like we're different. And then just trying to create spaces in your businesses that persons with disabilities can can patronize. Do you know that in Nigeria there are over 30 million persons with disabilities? That is a big market.
Okay.
So some people don't realize that that's a big market. Okay, like for me, you make a shop, and you have to jump one very long distance water to get to where your shop is. I will not go there because I can't do that. And so you as a business owner that owns that kind of shop, how about building something over that place that they can work on, or just making sort of high steps like that. You climb, you make just a very small ramp for them. So just it's been very intentional. It's just little things like this that no matter how about training your staff, even in a supermarket, that okay, persons with disabilities can come here, don't treat them like this, help them, assist them. There are shops that I go to, that's the doorman, maybe you can be like, oh, how are you doing? May I assist you? And they take me around and I feel very good about it. So yeah, how about that one? Or putting technologies into your businesses that as a person with a disability, I can sit down right from my house and patronize you. Still another way. Yeah, so business owners can support us by just accepting, then just
that
create
there's a market.
Yes. Yeah, accepting that there's a market in our community. We are not all beggars. Most times people just feel like we're beggars. So a lot of when I go to places or I'm representing my organization or something like that, a lot of people are surprised that as in, are you serious? You're blind and you do this. Sometimes I stand by the roadside and somebody just comes and just holds your hand and puts money inside and like, don't worry, it's gonna be okay.
Oh, no.
So yeah, so people just accepting that we are not all beggars. We are not beggars. In fact, not all. We are not beggars. It's something that just mind shifts basically on the part of the businesses or the the SME.
Are there any upcoming initiatives or projects that you're working on that our listeners can get involved in?
Okay, so currently I am organizing a sign language masterclass. It's going to be virtual. It's for 3 months, that's 12 weeks. Just basically twice a week. Very interesting. So I came up with this initiative because I realized that the deaf community are like discriminated, and a lot of them don't have access to information. Imagine that in the world there are 8.5 million not in the world, in Nigeria now there are 8.5 million persons that are deaf, and there are only like 400 sign language interpreters, which is very sad. There's a very huge gap. So I thought about, okay, how about people come, learn sign language, which is going to be fun, it's flexible, and it's very affordable. Just 50,000 naira. Okay. You don't have to shout it. So just 50,000 naira, you can learn sign language where I feel like people can get employment through this, learning the sign language. You can even become, a sign language interpreter in hospitals, in your businesses. It's a huge market. It's a huge market.
So
also.
when and where is this happening?
Okay, so it's starting, ending of June, and it's virtual.
A particular date?
No particular date yet. So, the 3rd week of June actually is going to start, and it's just limited spots because spots. So we don't want just anybody just come. We want people that are really interested in becoming interpreters that could help, grow this community of sign language interpreters. And imagine we having interpreters in schools, in offices, in the airports. You don't find that.
And everywhere.
Everywhere. You go to a shop to buy something and you just sign.
How do people register? Where do you register?
Okay, so you register online. On our website is edfrica.org. That is EDFRICA. And then on our social media handles, you can just search for @edfrica on all Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all just as Edfrica. Yeah.
Okay, and the link will be right.
Yeah, right there. Very accessible.
How do you think discrimination plays a role in the experiences of women with disabilities?
So it's really hard for women with disabilities. getting into the community, I realized that, women with disabilities have it differently, honestly. We grew up in a community where the male gender is really taking like kings of so in Africa, that's how it is. So having a disability and being a woman, honestly, is really difficult. It's extremely difficult. The discrimination is more. For a man with a disability, it's easier for them sometimes, to an extent. It's not easy for them, but it's way easier for them than women. So sometimes you see, even in terms of going to school, you see mostly the guys, the men with disabilities go to school more. In starting businesses, you see the male gender, the males going to businesses more. For the women, it's really hard in almost every way, honestly. In getting work as a woman with a disability, it's worse for us. So first, I know that, okay, like for instance, in marriage, even getting married is easier for the men with disabilities than even a woman. So yeah, the discrimination is really much for us who are women with disabilities.
Okay. All right. So, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs with disabilities who are just starting out?
Just be strong. It's not going to be easy. You might find a lot of discrimination. You might find people that will say very horrible stuff. Very horrible stuff. I've heard terrible stuff like that want to really break you. And like I said, some people will not want to patronize you because of your disability. But just keep on doing what you do and just be good at it. That's one thing. Be good at what you do, and hopefully, our advocacies will be able to reach more people, and they will be able to patronize. You will be great. So don't even allow anything that they say gets to you. And then keep applying for grants. So learn how to write grants, attend webinars, especially free webinars. There are so many organizations that organize free webinars that they will, free webinars that help in different topics, for example, grant writing, proposal writing, things like that. Attend that, and hopefully you will be able to get, financial support for your businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now let's move to the aspect of fun. What do you like to do during your leisure time? And of course, what music do you like to listen to?
Okay, so I love to read. I am a bookworm. I really read a lot of novels, not motivational books. Those ones make me sleep. So yeah, so I like to read a lot of novels. Then music. I love to listen to music also, and I love meeting new people, going to new places. I don't know, it just makes me very happy. For kind of music I listen to, you'll be surprised. So I listen to rap. I really love rap, honestly.
Maybe you could give us one
artist. For artists, okay. So I like one called NF. I really love NF. He's one of my guys. And then I love a lot different types of music. So there's this other guy, John Billion. I love his kind of music. Yeah, those kind of music actually.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here on Wings today.
Thank you.
It was really encouraging.
Thank you.
Having you on here.
Thank you.
And of course, to the young girl watching you right now, what would you like to say to her? Or to your younger self, actually?
To my younger self?
Yeah.
Okay, I would have, if I was to talk to my younger self, I would tell her that, challenges are going to come in future. Just be strong. Don't take your life at that point. Accept it. It's going to be hard, but you can do it because you're very strong, very, very strong woman, and you will grow to leave, footprints that other people will follow. Other people will look at you and be like, wow, she's a blessing to her generation. So yeah, and then just work hard and try to be different from what people expect you to be. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Today.
Thank you.
All right. That's all on today's episode of Women's Books. Stay tuned stay locked onto this channel, Crusaders Radio TV, on all social media platforms. My name is Lisa, and this is Wings.
Hi, my name is Awashima. I am a professional counselor, a disability rights inclusion specialist, an advocate for persons with disabilities, and a facilitator. I am a woman in great skin.